Hello from a very sunny, very hot and very lovely Imola circuit. As you can hear and see, the EUROCUP-3 machines are back on track after a whole month wait after Portimao. Now, in fact, I'm seeing the qualifying session go on. You are probably waiting for race 1 to start. So, in this point in time, why don't we go back and remember a little bit of what happened in Portugal for what was the second round of the championship. Now, here's the story. Palou Motorsport, so far, seems to have understood the new Dallara 326 better than anybody else. Of course, this means that James Agozzi is the strong, dominant driver that we always knew he could be, but that he needed a machine to become. Now, that means that in Portugal, he scored 2 wins out of 2 races. Palou Motorsport scored 4 podiums in those 4 races, thanks to Heitor Dalagnol with those P3 and P2, which puts that team in a very, very, very strong position this weekend. Not only them, though, have been important in Portugal. We have to remember René Lammers scored the podium, Keanu Alazari scored the podium as well, which means that MP Motorsport and High-Tech GP are going to be a factor this weekend as well. We know that Campos Racing is waiting to bounce back because they know that they have the speed, they know they have the cars, they know they have the drivers, but they need to actually make it happen. So, all this means is that we have plenty of drivers, plenty of candidates, and as we head to the 3rd round of the season, one thing is for certain, only one: excitement, because Imola never fails to deliver.
And it's safe to say that Alex Garcia is absolutely right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Imola and welcome to the 3rd race meeting in the 2026 EuroCup-3 season. My name is Chaz Draycott. I'm delighted to be in the commentary box once again with the wonderful Zach Sweeney for another great race weekend here around the wonderful European circuits that we have. Zach, Imola, it's a legendary place and it's going to be a very, very exciting race weekend for us all here in EuroCup-3, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah, obviously on the ELMS schedule, as we have, will be for 3 times this season. Obviously the season opener back in Paul Ricard and then later on in the year when we take to Silverstone. Yeah, Imola, I mean, Chaz, there's not really, you can't understate the importance of Imola in the world of motor racing. You know, it's given us some legendary moments, both obviously for better or for worse over the years, but in terms of the racing that it can produce and I guess the specific challenge that comes around this circuit, it really is a driver's circuit, you know, through the chicanes. Acqua Minerale is one that really does stand out to me as a very challenging circuit, of course, with the new car for 2026 and these drivers on that ladder all the way up through the ranks as they pursue the pinnacle of motorsport. It's a circuit they definitely will have to prove themselves around.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're absolutely right. It really is a great platform for the drivers to show what they've got. A very technical circuit, lots of big curbs here, lots of, well, I was going to say lots of runoff, but effectively, no. They've got a lot of grass and then walls. It's quite an old school circuit still in that regard, which is great to see because, as I'm sure I know what we're like. We'll probably agree on it at some point. But a lot of circuits have so much runoff and tarmac and things now instead of grass and gravel traps that drivers take liberties with things like that sometimes, and they go over the top with track limits and things. But here, you really do get punished for it if you push too hard and attack the curbs too much or run that little bit wide, dip a wheel on the grass. So I'm really excited to see how the drivers face this here this weekend. Of course, the weather is a talking point, as it always is, with 2 of us being British in the commentary box, but it looks absolutely phenomenal there, just about an hour or so south of Bologna. And, well, every time I've been to Imola, it's been absolutely baking hot, and it seems like today is no exception. Tyre life is going to be a conversation that we've got to have at some point again, Zach. I mean, it's something they really have to think about in these cars. It looks like they've got some used sets ready to go on already, actually.
I don't think they'll be needing those grooved wets, I'll be honest. Definitely going to be slicks all the way through this weekend. Yeah, you can see sunshine, as is always to be expected here in Imola. And to be fair, generally for EuroCup-3, the summer very, very warm, as I'm sure everyone is quite well aware. The heat has been raging on. Again, we speak about a technical challenge in the form of Imola. there's a lot of very long radius corners. There's a lot of changes of direction, and with the heat, you bring in that tyre scrub. And also, you know, these EuroCup-3s, the Dallara chassis that we've got for 2026, and of course the slightly upgraded engine that we've got as well in the form of the 1.6 Toyota. You're carrying a lot of speed into these corners. You're putting a lot of load into those tyres, and again, the challenge of tyre conservation, as good as the Hankook tyres are, as we discussed obviously at Aragon for the F4 Spanish Championship, it is going to be a challenge around here to keep those tyres alive.
It really is, and we've got, of course, the wonderful Alex Garcia down there on the ground for us reporting this weekend. He's in the pit lane ahead of this first race. Alex, what's the vibe like down there at the moment? Is everybody excited to get the weekend underway?
Hello, Chas. Hello, Zach. I'm not sure if they are as excited as I am to greet you both again now for the first time in EuroCup-3, but they are very excited to race here in Imola. I've been listening to you guys, and I think you nail exactly what is so exciting to be here in this wonderful circuit. It is one that demands that the driver do a very good job. It is a very old school circuit, as you said, with very little runoff area. And as much as I think we all understand why runoff areas have increased throughout the last few years with a lot of tarmac, drivers do like a challenge. So this is something that they are all relishing to do. And if I go by what we've seen in the past few days this week, testing here, and of course with the qualifying yesterday, this is looking like a very, very good weekend. Very interesting at the very least, with lots of little tidbits that I'm sure we'll be able to talk about through today and tomorrow.
Well, the driver at the very top of the championship as well, of course, James Agozi, having an absolute barnstormer of a season so far, on the podium in all 5 races that we've had. He's got 106 points over the 62 of Keanu Al-Azhari. It's looking at the moment, Zach, like he is way home and dry already, but it's early stages, I guess, to start saying that.
There's a long way to go in the season. Let's not write anything off just yet, but in terms of raw form, I mean, you can't slow the guy down, can you? And he's come into this one, he's absolutely swinging. He's on pole position for race 1 and race 3 that we'll have tomorrow. He'll be starting P12 by virtue of the reverse qualifying format for the sprint race later on this afternoon as well. But yeah, I mean, to take 3 from the 5 wins, to be on the podium for all 5 of them, that's such an impressive consistency. And you know, he's been looking incredibly strong, is Agozi. I mean, I had a look at his little, I read the brochure, let's say, in the form of James Agozi's website. He's competed in 225 total races across his entire racing career. 41 of them have been wins, and I just think he's an absolutely rapid driver. He's proven that, of course, this season so far. He took 4 podiums in his total tenure, I guess, if you like, in the F4 Spanish Championship, and taking that step up into EuroCup-3 has not scared him in the slightest. But then you look at drivers like Keanu Al-Azhari, right, who has raced in championships like GB3, you know, he took a victory in GB3 in 2025. He was the Spanish Winter Cup champion in EuroCup-3. He's raced internationally for quite some time. Al-Azhari and the rest of these drivers on the field, they're not any mean slouches by any means. You know, James Agozi still has to fight for this championship. We're only 5 races into what is going to be a 19-race season.
Yeah, it's very exciting, isn't it? It's not just like we've got one superstar driver at the front and then the rest of them don't know what they're doing. Lovely look at the number 10 machine there, the Red Bull liveried car. That looks absolutely smashing, doesn't it? I always say that the Red Bull livery looks great on every single race car you put it on, and it certainly looks the part in this regard. Very excited to see how they get on this weekend with that, because we obviously had to keep an eye on a Red Bull Junior driver when we commentated on Spanish Formula 4 a few weeks ago at Aragon. Well, Alex is enjoying the grid down there at the moment. It looks like everybody's just sort of holding back the excitement for now, Alex. The body language looks quite calm at this point. Does it feel like that on the grid?
I think it's the calm before the storm. You have to keep in mind that, of course, the race is just going to get underway in just a few minutes. But what's clear is that one thing that's important, when we woke up this morning, we did see some nasty clouds on the horizon, but luckily they were going away from the circuit, not towards the circuit. So I think that this calm that you're seeing is just basically a little bit of a relief that the weather that we were all expecting is indeed what we're going to get, because things could have changed. Now, of course, the forecast was never about rain, but when you wake up and you see those clouds in the sky, they make you doubt a little bit. Now, one thing that doesn't make you doubt, as you were saying, is James Agozi's performance. And you guys were saying quite rightly that it is still the early stages of the season. But I do have to say, with the advantage that he has in the standings, with the 2 qualifying sessions he had yesterday, if he manages to extend his lead at the top of the championship this weekend, I can see him starting to get a little bit more into managerial style, if you will. Thinking a little bit more of sometimes not necessarily taking too many risks, because he knows he has that advantage. And when drivers have that advantage, they tend to use it quite well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he will have in mind the bigger picture of the season, and we've seen it many a times in other championships where a driver will maybe go for a move to take the lead of a race when they don't have to. You know, it would be good for them just to hold on to second and not make that move, and then the move not pay off. I mean, over here, I use a lot of British Touring Car Championship references, which I will continue to do so. While we were commentating at Aragon, I mentioned Colin Turkington, who used to win championships without winning many races. But his sort of arch rival for a few years, Ash Sutton, would always go for a move when he didn't really need to. And Ash has arguably lost a few championships by the virtue of going for a move, getting a puncture, scoring no points instead of points for second place. And Zach, that's something they have to really manage here in this championship as well, isn't it? They don't get too many opportunities over the season. We've not got 30 races. We've got, well, considerably less than that, so less chances to score points, right?
Exactly that. And, you know, Alex is right in the sense that drivers will go into sort of a managerial phase, I suppose, of a championship, right? Especially in a position like James Agozzi, where you will get to a point where you've got such a big lead, but a DNF, and that's 25 points wiped out straight away. You know, if he was to DNF in race 1 today, touch wood, of course, that then basically wipes out half of his championship lead already. And then he's on the danger zone, right? Because then only 25 points. Well, if you think if he finishes second to Keanu Al-Azari, in about 3 races, that's wiped out as well. So, yes, you are going to manage it, but there is a fine line between managing a championship lead and getting complacent with one. By no means is anything ever a done deal in the world of motorsport, and James Agozzi is still going to be feeling that pressure. In fact, probably maybe a little bit more so, because the expectation is there, both from external factors onto him, but also internally from himself. He's got an expectation to be arriving each weekend, winning, and ultimately taking the crown at the end of the season. For everyone else, who maybe gets to a point in the season where they've not written it off, but their mindset shifts, I guess, in a sense to the championship. They know they've got a little bit less to lose, and that's then when the sort of the mind games start to play. They can be a little bit more elbows out with James Agozzi because they know ultimately that maybe he'll be the one to concede.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got maybe a little bit of a buffer here, having his teammate alongside him on the front row of the grid. Heitor Dall'Agnol is going to be starting alongside him. So to have the Brazilian there, maybe as a rear gunner, it could potentially give him a bit of respite, but at the same time, as we saw again, I'm going to reference back to Aragon a lot in Spanish F4 because a lot of the style of racing we're going to see here will be very similar, but we saw teammates fighting a lot there as well, didn't we? It seemed like just because the cars were in the same colours doesn't mean anything to them. They have to look after numero uno above everybody else, and, well, they have to fight for their own careers, right? So they can't just leave it and lift for their teammates. But at the same time, rule number 1 of motorsport, Zach, don't hit your teammate. Let's see.
No, that is true. That is true. And ultimately, you know, these drivers and teams, very, very few of them, or in fact, I don't think any of them will be factory drivers. So they're, you know, effectively paying for their seat to be here. And I don't know about you, Chaz, if I've paid for a seat, I'm not going to roll over a chance of a race win in the interest of someone else's career. So, yeah, ultimately, I think maybe there will be a case of don't take each other out, be a little bit nicer with each other. A lot of them will be quite closely knit in the paddock, sharing data potentially as well. But for Heitor Dall'Agnol as well, he's off the back of 2 podiums. You know, he's on a good run of form. I'm sure he's starting on the front row. That run towards the opening chicane, he's going to want to go and win.
He absolutely is. And Alex, engines are getting going now. They're on the formation lap. Anybody in the pit lane? Anybody starting from down there, or has everybody made it to the grid?
As you can see behind me, we have the invisible driver starting from the pit lane, so nobody is starting from that treacherous position. Everyone's on the grid. That's good. We like to see that. But more than anything, I'm just seeing a little bit of activity down the pit lane, just some of the mechanics who are just going back to not their box, their garage, because we do not have EUROCUP-3 in their own garage, so we're loaning those from the ELMS teams. So it's a little bit of a different weekend for teams here in these events because they do not have their own space. They have to bring the trolleys with everything. I even saw rain tires. I don't think it's going to rain though.
I was going to say, it looks very beautiful down there at the moment. We can see all the heat haze. It is absolutely phenomenal conditions. Let's have a look at the grid then, shall we? We've got Igozi and Delagnol on the front row of the grid. Then Al-Azhari in great form at the moment with Eichmanns alongside him. And we have Pradl and El Faghali starting on row 3. Then we have Trapper and Stuka on row 4. Not sure if he's named after a World War II aircraft or not. We've got Rafael Parad, and then it's Tarnavich. I was always going to get it wrong, wasn't I? Tarnavanichkul next up in the Red Bull livery machine number 10. Juan Cota alongside Huizenrode. Then we have Alex Powell and Bart Harrison starting on the 7th row of the grid. Thomas Strauben is then alongside Elkio Feldman. They are on row 8 in 15th and 16th. Filippo Fiorentino starts in 19th place with Nacho Tunion alongside him. Good to see Nacho back on our screens once again. Then it is Stefan Bostaniev in the 10th row with Santino Panetta alongside. Tommy Harfield and Lorenzo Campos will start together on row 11. We then have Stylianos Kolovos on the 12th row with Bianca Bustamante starting in 24th place. Renzo Barbui is on row 13 with Ryan Coretti next up. Yanni Stephen Hayden's another driver that we've had on our screens before in the Formula 4 Spanish Championship. Edouard Bornia is going to start in 28th, and then Benjamin Beckley and Rene Lammers completing our final 2 spots on the grid. And to be fair, interesting to see Lammers that far down at the moment, Zach, because, well, he's been in good form of late, has he not, as Lammers? I mean, 3rd in the championship. He's had 2 podiums so far, but it seems like it's trees or trophies looking at his previous results.
Yeah, by far this is his worst outing in qualifying. He'll be starting last for both of the races today. To be fair, his qualifying performance in Portimao, he started P19 back there in race number 2. He started P3. His best qualifying result was the first ever qualifying session of the season back in Paul Ricard. He has been able to, charge his way back through the pack, as we have seen 2 podiums, 2 appearances in the top 10, and that is ultimately what puts him inside the top 3 in the championship. But over the course of the rest of the season, he does need to be a bit of a hard charger if he wants to compete with the likes of Keanu Al-Azhari.
He really does. Alex, just before we get underway, is there anybody that you've got your eye on for this race here this morning, the first one of the weekend?
Well, I do have to say that I find it very adequate that on the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari we have the red cars on the first row, so probably those.
Let's get this underway then. The lights come on and the first race of the weekend in EuroCup-3 gets underway, and it's a very defensive move straight over to the left-hand side there from Delagnol. Yellow flags wave at the back as the car doesn't get away successfully, but everybody keeps it tidy down towards the Tamburello chicane for the first time. It's still the 2 Palu Motorsport cars first. The second contact further back, one of the DriveX cars tipped off into the gravel. Try and keep an eye on who that is. I think it's Feldman that is dropping down the timing screen. And, well, that is a massive, massive shame, that, Zach. Not even 2 corners into the weekend, and Feldman, well, he's been felled.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, he's dropped all the way down the back end of the field. I think the DriveX car that we saw there was El Faghali as well. He's dropped all the way down to what is P29. So far, so good though for James Zagotsky. Got the start that he needed. Back under safety car conditions now on the opening lap, as the recovery teams will be out there to get the stranded cars. Have been able to see that Faghali, from what I can see, has been able to continue on, but Feldman, like we said, has folded indeed. Have to say though, really impressive start there from Zagotsky, and very punchy, it has to be said, from Delagnol and Keanu Al-Azhari on the opening lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies for getting that one wrong. I saw the DriveX name flying down the timing screen, then decided not to actually call the right car. Brilliant stuff. Good way to start the commentary for the weekend. You just had a little glimpse there of a beautiful machine that we have as a safety car in this championship. It's a Dallara Stradale. Dallara went into making road cars and made this wonderful Stradale machine that you're going to see over the course of the season. Here is a look back at the start. Big move to the left-hand side by Delagnol just to defend from Al-Azhari in 3rd place. And going onto the grass, I mean, Al-Azhari was very, very determined to try and get through, but that's what the sort of rear gunner position is like, as I mentioned before, Zach. There is the contact look. You could see, actually, that El Faghali ran a little bit wide in the first part, didn't they? Put the other driver onto the curb, and then, well, there was nothing really they could do. They just bounced into each other.
Yeah, it's happened to me about 15 million times in iRacing, to be honest. You know, you just open the steering up through the first chicane, and yeah, kind of rightfully so. But on the opening lap, you do want to give a little bit of margin, and then the driver on the inside, you know, you're then going into turn number 2, which you should be taking as you build up the throttle, probably near flat out by the time you can get there when the tyres are warm, and you're going in there, you know, steaming over the curb, full lock on the steering, and ultimately, you know, if you get a front left or a rear right, you are going to go flying. These cars are very, very sensitive with the open wheel platform, and ultimately, yeah, that was his demise in the end. That's going to be a very swift end to his day, and a long wait now, a long grueling wait now until the sprint race later on, where he'll be hoping and ultimately affecting his mentality as to how he approaches the opening lap. Will he maybe give an extra car's width or so as they approach turn number 2 for the first time later on?
I suppose the benefit is that if there is any damage to the car, they've got a long old time to go and fix that now and get it sorted. There's the number 33 machine in the pit lane of Rafael Perard, the Palou Motorsport car, sitting there having tyres changed and so on, just checking over any damage. I think maybe they've changed that front wing, didn't quite see it come off. We've had Yanni Stephen Hayden's also go into the pit lane as well. We just saw him pull into the paddock a moment ago, and he didn't even stay in the pits, went straight through into the paddock. A big shame. Here's a view from the back of the grid. Lovely shot, but you can see on the left-hand side, car doesn't get going. On the right-hand side, it's Stephen Hayden's. In fact, wow, very close. Further up the grid there as well. I didn't even notice that the orange car further forward didn't get moving. Wow.
Yeah, very difficult start. We have seen a couple of stalls throughout the season so far. Al-Azhari is one that always comes to mind as a driver who doesn't get away well, particularly back at Paul Ricard. I don't know what it is, maybe just struggling to get these cars started. There you can see the contact once again through turn number 3. Always going to be a bit of a pinch point. But yeah, interesting about the starts there, because you know it's something that maybe often gets overlooked. You know, drivers want to nail their overall pace, their overall laps, but you only get one attempt at the start, and when you've got a field of 30 cars, if you don't nail it very quickly, you're going to drop back in the pack. If you get going, that's even if you don't get hit while you're stationary. By the time you reach the first corner, you're going to be back in the pack, and at a circuit like Imola, I would argue track position really is important, and you don't want to undermine a decent qualifying session by not being able to build the revs up or getting the clutch bite point where you want it.
Absolutely. I think it was one of the MP Motorsport cars that didn't get away from further up the order. I think that was Feldman, actually, that dropped down in the number 8 machine, but very lucky not to get hit. One of the cars later back, obviously we don't want to speculate about it too much, but one of the cars further back had to make a real last-second move to make sure they didn't go into the back of them. You would have thought a bright orange car would be easy to see, but when you're at that speed and you've got so many other cars around you, you've got to be very careful. Now, we just had the green flag graphic came on the timing screen, then it went back to safety car. We are going to go green flag racing, though, by the look of it, and already the two Palou Motorsport cars are almost side by side. They are actually almost in a bit of a grid formation again here with the staggered formation, but it's Agozi and Delagnol, then Al-Azhari, Eichmanns and Pradel in 5th place. You can see on the left-hand side as well, the red drivers are the rookies with their numbers in red. And we get back underway here at Imola. And it's a Palou 1-2 as they head across the line. Looks like a good restart by Al-Azhari, though, in the pink machine. Tries to go right up behind Delagnol into turn 1. Delagnol going nice and defensive there, keeping it single file. There's a big lock-up in the background, though. I wonder if they made that through. Two teammates side by side in the middle of the pack there. I think that's Huizenrode and potentially Powell that are together. They've got Tana Vanichkul just in front of them, and obviously in that Red Bull machine standing out like a sore thumb amongst their team. But nice and tidy now. This is exactly what we wanted from the, well, take 1 start here, Zach.
Yeah, exactly that. Really impressive safety car restarts around the outside of Tosa there. What a move that is. That's going to be challenging as they'll now rise up the hill towards Piratella, edging in front there. Nicely done by I believe that's the number 5. That's Huizenrode making his way through, and well, having to tuck in behind Tarvinichkul as well. The Red Bull livery machine just in front of that battle in towards Aqua Minerali, and Tarvinichkul trying to chase onto the back of Christian Stuker, and well, the rest of the pack just, I guess, settling their way into this race. Like I was about to say though, James Agozi played that restart to perfection, did the Max Verstappen-esque thing, weave, straighten up, put your foot down, off you go, catch everyone napping, especially with a long run towards the first braking zone. Didn't want to get caught out by the toe, and was able to lead by the time they reached the first corner on the restart.
I think, sorry to correct you, Zach, but it's not often I get a chance to, so I'm going to. It was Powell, I think, getting back in front of Huizenrode. I think Huizenrode was the one in front and then just took it too tight into Tosa. But how often do we see moves around the outside of Tosa? What a brilliant move that was. Really, really committed stuff. but a fantastic train of these machines. And obviously now we get huge amounts of slipstream down the start-finish straight. We haven't actually had a full run down here in anger yet because, of course, we've had the safety car restart. And then the main start of the race, there is a move round the outside, nearly a bit of contact into turn one, and a big late braking move by Harrison. Tries to go all the way around the outside. There's contact, and Harrison's back in the middle of the road. Hopefully doesn't roll across. Goodness me, how nobody hit Harrison there, I do not know, but that was very scary. And Trapper is in the gravel trapper, and that means now that we're going to have, I'm sure, another safety car if that car stays too close to the road. Didn't quite see if Trapper went into the barrier or not, but wow, that was very, very scary stuff. But Harrison, so late on the brakes there. I did wonder if he was going to get it stopped. Clearly not.
No, he didn't. Skipping a jump over the curb, and just an innocent bystander, and that one is Trapper. And I mean, Harrison coming back across the circle like that, I was wincing, like I was cringing watching it.
Yeah.
You know, hold the brakes, get it stopped. You're coming back across the racing line. Thankfully, yeah, like I say, no one hit them there, but yeah, into the barrier, and well, a hefty repair job there for High Tech for. Well, Trapper's outfit, you can see walking back, he's understandably going to be quite frustrated with that one. You know, he was fighting in the front half of the field, but and ultimately as well, not really much that he could have done. He hit his braking marker. He took turn number 3 perfectly fine, and just got steamed into there from Harrison, who you can't blame him for attempting it, but ultimately on this occasion wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it's a big, big shame, but that's how these things go sometimes, I suppose. I mean, it's the split-second decisions there by Harrison were what sort of made that scenario what they are. Harrison decided rather than going straight over the chicane through the gravel, he would still try and make the apex for the second part of Tamburello. That's what initially caused the contact, and then the roll back across the circuit was a hard watch. I mean, Zach and I, we can see each other at all times, which is something you lot don't get the privilege of doing at home. But yeah, we both pulled some pretty horrible faces when that happened, I can tell you that. But yeah, luckily there was no contact, so they were all safe and sound. But yeah, pretty scary. Eichmanns and Pradl running in 4th and 5th places there for MP Motorsport. They haven't really mounted an attack much yet on Al-Azhari, have they? I think it looks more like Al-Azhari was the one to move forward instead of those two attacking him. So I'm intrigued to see what they do on this restart, because now they've got another chance to do it, haven't they, Zach? Yeah,
exactly. They've had the dress rehearsal, if you like, and now is the opportunity for them to go and do it. I mean, Gianmarco Pradl is a remarkable driver in his own right, GB3 Championship contender. What is a very Aussie-dominated contingent last year with the likes of Alex Ninovic, Gianmarco Pradl, of course, up there fighting as well, and Huizenrode also in that respective championship charge. He took 2 wins and 7 podiums, was third best of anyone in that regard last year, ultimately finishing P4 in the championship. He knows how to overtake in sort of, this F3 style machinery, if you like, and off the restart he's going to be very punchy to chase his first podium of the season. There's a replay there of what happened, but Harrison straight into the side of Trapper, and again, it's an easy mistake to make, and a pinch point at the opening chicane there. I mean, you can kind of expect it, but also as a driver, you know to expect it, and ultimately, I guess you know not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think what really contributed to that there was that Harrison still tried to make the apex of the second part of the chicane rather than just going straight over. I think if he would have just gone straight over the gravel, got the car slowed down a little bit, sure, he would have lost a couple of positions, but that bit of selflessness just keeps the race going and keeps everybody on circuit. And sometimes it's thinking about the bigger picture. It's certainly a difficult decision to make. It's easy for me to sit up here and say that after just watching it happen, but when you're behind the wheel, you've got to really go for it, I suppose. So yeah, it's a shame though, because Trapper was completely innocent in that one. Like Zach rightly said, he hit his brake marker, he made the corner, made the apex, even was going to make the second apex until the apex made him, and then that was that, unfortunately. But we should go back to green flag racing this time round. There is Harrison, still actually in the race after a big hit like that. I'm quite surprised because the contact completely ripped the front wheel off of Trapper's car, but Harrison's is fine.
Yeah, these cars are quite robust. I remember watching race 1 at Portimao, and a car was rear-ended, turned around on the pit straight at Portimao, and was able to continue. So they must be quite robust in some aspects, but let's see if he can nail the second restart.
Wonder if Dallara's going to get the contract for the British Banger Racing Championship next year. We'll have to see what sort of car they can make for that. The Dallara Stradale, gorgeous machine. I love that thing, and I will tell you every single time it's on screen. Comes into the pit lane, but again, it goes doing the same as Zach said. Verstappen-esque restart, a bit of a weave, straighten up, floor it, off you go. And look at that, really, really well choreographed with his teammate, actually. We've got Dallaniel going with him, but he knows that Dallaniel is as much of a threat as anybody else. It doesn't matter that he's in the same coloured car. Eichmann's trying to get past Al-Azhari for third position, and in fact he's gone down the inside into Tamburello as a lock-up, and there's another car off at Tamburello this time, but that is what Harrison should have done, maybe not coming back on quite like that, and scares the life out of Eichmann and me and everybody else. Hopefully that car did not come back onto the circuit sideways, and he's managed to carry on, and it's just dust. But look at that for the two Palu Motorsport cars at the front now. They're gone, Zach.
Yeah, trading blows there. You can see Al-Azhari, his front left end plate dropped down there after the contact. He was able to rejoin, and to be fair, just able to like, they traded blows. He was pushed off, he pushed him back, and then after, you know, the ultimate consequence there, but there you can see he's tumbling down the order now. Al-Azhari, it's so unlucky so far this season. Good avoiding action from the rest of the field, but yeah, unfortunate there as he'll well, like we understandably come into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and his chances in this race, bar another safety car, few and far between.
Yeah, he's got a puncture on that front left now, hasn't he? And it's absolutely done for this race. It's a huge, huge shame. But then again, they could change that tyre. We could have another safety car, and then he could get going once again. But the race is still very much underway. I'm just glad that there wasn't further incident with the car. I think it was Eichmann's that was coming back on, but maybe not actually. I think it was Pradel, wasn't it, that had managed to get down the inside of the two of them. So thankfully Pradel didn't come back on in a way that caused another accident. Great scrap going on here between the 22 and the 39. That is Panetta and Nacho Tunion, who we are used to seeing on our screens when we work together. Nacho getting the moves in. Oh, that's a fantastic camera shot there on the pit wall. It's not quite a start-finish straight here. It's like three straights joined together by little kinks in the wall. But here is Ngozi and Dallaniol. They're leading the way. As Alex rightly pointed out earlier, Zach, it's nice to see two red cars at the front in Imola, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I mean, maybe we'll get that this year. They're looking quite strong after the back of the last couple of races. Ducking and diving, though, as they approach the Villeneuve chicane there. Through the left, through the right. Very difficult sequence of corners. There's the number 5 of Patrick Huizenrode. Under pressure, I'll correct myself, from Kasper Stuker, not Christian, like I mentioned a bit earlier on. The Technicar by Amtog machine, currently running P6. The Pole who has won the Italian F4 Championship back in 2023 with 9 wins to his name a couple of years ago. An incredibly strong contingent in this championship as well. There is Keanu Al-Azhari getting a new front nose cone fitted, and well, this was the cause of it. Down the inside, bit of a lock-up from, I believe it was Pradel, nudged him off, straight back onto the circuit, then caught him out a little bit too tight for the left, run himself off. It was just trading blows in that respect, and well, both of them came worse off as a result.
That is terrifying for Pradel. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty scary anyway for the car going straight on for Al-Azhari. But then, yeah, the rejoin left a lot to be desired. I do wonder whether he did try and get it over to the right, but there was a massive jump through the gravel. Obviously, the car can't turn when the wheels aren't on the ground. So, yeah, it really took away any turning capabilities. But it does mean that a number of these drivers that were just outside of the top 10, which is the 10 positions that you score points for, are now in contention to score some of those points. Side by side once again, I believe it's Stuker and Huizenrode. Stuker trying to round the outside, trying to go later on the brakes into Tamburello. We've seen how this can go. Look at that, Huizenrode really carrying a lot of speed to the apex, and on that tighter line as well. Does a great job to defend the position, but Stuker now going to get into the slipstream down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Maybe try and move here around the outside is good because it gives you the inside for the second part, but no, maybe a move into Tosa instead now, Zach.
Potentially so. The inside does open itself up, but on this occasion Stuker just going to stay behind the 2025 GB3 vice champion of Huizenrode, currently running in P5 and has got eyes on the likes of Alex Powell and Ian Eichmann's for P3 and P4, but they are a couple of seconds adrift. There's a bit of a look to the inside there from Straubing, the Spanish F4 champion of last year, on the back of Tom Vanichkul in the Griffin Core by Campos, the Red Bull liveried machine, as they run their way in towards Aqua Minerale. Couple of sort of, I guess, spouts of battles here. You know, we've got sort of 2 or 3 cars and then a bit of a gap, then 2 or 3 cars, then a bit of a gap. Crucially, though, at the front, between the two Polo Motorsport teammates, Ngozi just having the measure over Delagnol, who isn't slow by any means and will continue his streak of podiums at this rate as we tick over the halfway mark in the race. But Agozi just seems to have that tenth or two a lap to bridge that gap and get out of that slipstream range. Down the inside, Huizenrode still defending from Stuka.
Yeah, Huizenrode is doing a fantastic job here, actually, and Stuka is definitely not holding back from making all of these attacks. But you wonder, oh, hello, is in the background. Off goes Strauven, loses a place to Nacho Tunion. And I believe as well Panetta's going to get through. Here comes Stuka to the left-hand side then, tries it on the left down the start finish straight, will get in front, but now, we've seen it before, Huizenrode could get slipstream back off him, come back at him into Tamburello, but a decisive defensive move there to the inside by Stuka. Says, no, you are definitely not coming down the inside here. We've got Tan van Ichkel that could definitely be on the scene there with those guys any moment now. Because of that battling, they've slowed each other down. Here's another look at it, and it was a very decisive move there, but the defensive move was very, very abrupt, wasn't it, Zach?
It was, yeah, just a chop to the right to sort of say, nah, absolutely not. I mean, it's easy to defend because even if you're sort of maybe just a nose behind, you can make that difference under braking. And I think what Stuka's approach was to slingshot round him and then just point the car onto the racing line, or just point the car in front of Huizenrode. Very risky, because if Patrick misses his braking point, well, that's race over. But what it does mean is he's able to keep that position side by side up over the crest in towards the left. That's one of the TC cars, and around the outside going the 77 of that's Bert Harrison trying to make a big comeback in the double R machine around the outside and in front now of Juan Cota.
I'll tell you what, another one, corner you don't really see people going around the outside of much is Piratella. Brilliant move that is, and Harrison, as you can tell, very fired up. It's easy to know who he is because he's got his name in massive letters down the side of the car, almost like a touring car. It'd be great to see that more often in Formula Racing, but obviously sponsors come first. Either way, another little insight there on the left-hand side of your screen to just how international this grid is. It's an absolute joy to commentate on such a massively international grid. I was putting the notes and things together for the weekend, and you sometimes can't believe it. It's just absolutely mental. There's barely any countries where we've got two drivers from them. It's just amazing. But right now we look at Delagnol leading in the rookie class at the moment. He's taken the fact that they are highlighted by red colours quite literally because he's in a red car with a red helmet, but he is doing a great job in second position. And here is the battle a little bit further back. So Tan van Ichkel just ahead of Tunion. Tunion has caught up to him rather than him actually catching up to Huizenrode as well. So looks like he might, well, interrupt this potential fight here. But he's got his teammate at the front of the group as well. So, of course, he's going to be hoping that the Technicar machines can be together. Here's Harrison still trying to find his way through. He's got Bornia and Harfield just in front now. But Harrison clearly on a mission, isn't he, Zach? He's absolutely flying.
Yeah, he's not. He's determined. Let's put it that way. Is Bert Harrison? He made the mistake potentially a bit earlier on in the day, and is now just doing his best, I guess, to make up for it. Of course, he's taken 2 single-seater wins so far in his career, and well, he'd like to add to that tally over the course of 2026. Probably not going to happen in this race, but he can at the very least limit the damage and, well, try and work his way back into the points. Currently a long way off that, though, running in P19. Agozi 1.5 seconds clear of his teammate. Meanwhile, there are plenty of battles through the field now in towards the Variante Alta. Down the inside goes to 77. That's never really going to work. The number 3 tries to go to the outside and, well, straight off the road there. Such a tight chicane uphill as well. And for Bologna, well, that is going to be a big loss of time and a big loss of positions as well.
Yeah, Bornia's going to be a bit annoyed about that one. Oh, it's a big shame that, because Harrison clearly very determined to gain those positions back, but it's not going to gain him championship points. It's not going to gain him anything else at this stage. But yeah, I think Bornia will feel a little bit disappointed in that one, to say the least, and now drops down into 22nd position. But the race continues on, and at the front is James Agozi once again leading the way. He's taken the last 2 race victories, both of them at Portimao, and he had one of each of the podium positions back at Paul Ricard, and he's continuing on this fantastic form. Here's Tan van Ichkel. Oh, another car off, and wow, they like rejoining back on the apex there, don't they? Goodness me, scary, scary stuff. That's the number 8 machine trying to get all defensive, as now another battle ensues here, Zach.
Yeah, that was Feldman, who went a little bit wide and was keen to defend. He's got one of the DriveX cars. That's Bologna trying to recover, ducking maybe to the inside through Tosa, but to no avail there, just behind Benjamin Beckley. Well, we'll catch a replay. That's how it happened. Side by side with the DriveX car, locked up the front left, skipping over the gravel, and, well, ultimately not really got much choice other than to rejoin straight onto the racing line. He's straight lined it, obviously a little bit out of control, but in the end able to keep the position out of the race, though, going slowly. Is that James Agozi?
I think it was. I think that was Igozi. Losing positions as he goes up over the top of the hill. He is dropping down the order. Can you believe it? 8.5 minutes left to go in this race. Championship leader, race leader, he's ground to a halt at the top of the hill. Unbelievable. That surely will be a safety car because he can't move the car out of the way. Yeah, we've gone yellow flag straight to safety car. No, have we? Don't know yet. But now, Del Agnol leads the way. Never mind a streak of podiums, Zach. He's going to start winning.
Yeah, well, he's gone third, second, he's now leading, so he'll take each respective step up the podium as it stands. If there is a safety car, he'll be under pressure, still rolling as he desperately trying to get himself back into this race. Safety car has been called. Of course, Igozi, understandably going to be frustrated. I guess the bittersweet of this for him is, of course, it's bitter that he's retired. The sweet is that his main rivals, Alizari and René Lammers, themselves not having the best of races, so the points loss isn't going to be as huge by a result of the DNF in this race. Still not nice though, is it?
No. Well, Lammers at the moment is in 10th position, even with gaining a place from James's potential retirement. I imagine it will be a retirement at this point. But that means Lammers is only going to get 1 point. Alizari is out of the race, so if anything, he's only going to lose 1 point to one of his main rivals. So it is really, really spot on of you to notice that, Zach, and I imagine that he won't know that at this point, will James Igozi, but this is where the car started to slow down. And, well, there's no smoke. There's no issue of any other kind. I wonder, maybe gearbox issue or what? Or whether the whole thing's just turned off. He's got going again.
He's gone.
Control-Alt-Delete and off it goes.
Yeah, well,
it's funny how it works like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, it's crazy. They're simple fixes, really. Yeah, potentially just lost drive. I don't know, clutch slipping. I don't know. We'll have to obviously speak to the drivers. We won't speculate too much. He is going, and crucially, he's on the lead lap. So if he's able to get himself round again, he'll be able to rejoin at the back. Points probably not going to happen as he's actually pulling over. So maybe not trusting that the car is in a suitable condition to keep racing. Maybe he's just got it going again to bring it back to the pit lane, which I think is the sensible thing to do, absolutely. And hopefully his team will be able to reassure him that this DNF, it would have been nice to be able to bank another 25 points relative to your rivals, but equally, this race in isolation, vastly inconsequential to the championship battle, as what we've already alluded to. Him relative to his championship rivals, not much net change.
No, it's a very, very surprising moment to have that happen to our championship leader, and yeah, again, it's just not working. He's going to have to get it pushed from there, which is a shame. He did a great effort to get it most of the way back, but yeah, unfortunately, that is going to be the end of this race for James Igozi. Like I said earlier, with the earlier incidents in the race, luckily they've got a long time to fix whatever the issue may be. Hopefully it can just be put some new batteries in it or something, but yeah, it's never usually that simple. There is the Dallara Stradale that I've obviously fallen in love with straight off the bat. Fantastic looking road car. You can buy those for the road. It is an insanely good bit of kit. And as you can imagine, with Dallara being such a long-standing and well-experienced racing car manufacturer, a road car built by them is going to be pretty spicy. So yeah, get yourself one if you've got the money, because it's a gorgeous looking bit of kit, and you barely ever see them actually. They're quite rare on the road, but yeah, good bit of kit. Massive wing on the back of it. Look at that. It looks like a sort of race car that you draw as a kid, doesn't it? Not to demeanour Dallara's fantastic designs, but you know, it just looks like something you draw as a kid. It looks exciting and fast.
It does. It does look very good. I'm not sure if I'd be able to get my food shop in it, but give me some Italian. Yeah, true. Give me some Italian Alps, and that'll have some fun, I'm sure. Anyway, you can see the marshals there to recover the 48 of James Igozi. What a heartbreaking end to his race to end the win streak, and also to end the podium streak as such as well. He maybe can still clutch on to the fact that every race he's finished, he's been on the podium. Maybe, I don't know. We'll try and keep the stat alive, if you like, for James Igozi. But yeah, ultimately he's looking so strong this year, and I'm sure this will be a momentary blip, and he'll be back fighting from what will have to be a very challenging P12 on the grid later on this afternoon.
That was a very rusty silver lining that you added to that cloud there.
I know, yeah.
To be fair, though, I mean, if the drivers are anything like us, I know that some drivers, they do pay attention to little 100% records here and there on this, that, and the other, and they do enjoy the statistics sometimes. Some of them don't care at all, and it bewilders me. But some of them, they will pay attention to that and say, you know, we've got 100% podiums, or, you know, we've got a podium in every race I've finished. They will hold on to stuff like that. So, yeah, hopefully James Igozi can hold his head high after that, but it's very often that we'll see him at the top of the standings, not down there in 25th place. Massive shame. He makes his way back into the pit lane under manpower. And now it's Dalagnol, Eichmanns and Powell. 3 rookies, the top 3 at the moment as well, which is important to note. So the overall podium would be the same as the rookie podium right now. And now Dalagnol, after learning what his teammate had done in the last 2 restarts, is surely going to replicate that. But again, much like we've had in open wheel championships before, any one of these drivers in the top 10 with 3 minutes left could win this race. Dalagnol gets underway then, and look at that for 4th place. Stuka really caught out by that restart. He's got an absolute train of cars coming after him there. That's it, of Tamburello. Very spicy stuff there. That was, I believe, that was 2-0, wasn't it? Trying to give it a go. Tanvanitschkel now getting defensive, says no thank you. Through I go, back up towards Tosa, and that's given the other guys in front a bit more breathing room now.
Yeah, and it does indeed. Panetta also trying to get involved to the outside of Tosa. Ultimately will run out of room. Here comes Thomas Strauven, the Belgian driver, trying to get alongside up over the crest and towards Piratella. Side by side in the background as well, you've got Konstantiev and Campos side by side through into the left, and very busy safety car restart to say the least. At the moment, Dalagnol from Eichmanns and Huizenrode, your top 3. Powell has dropped behind him. Stuka, though, like we say, just not getting the start that he needed in the slightest. Tanvanitschkel, though, not scared at all in typical Red Bull Junior fashion to get his elbows out around the outside of Villeneuve. Fantastic move to take P6.
Yeah, really committed stuff, and you have to be in these restarts. You have to send the message, because if you're going to put a driver behind you with a really good move, it gets in their head then, and they think, wow, I know what this driver is capable of now, so I can't take any chances. But Dalagnol makes a great restart. Eichmanns holds on to 2nd place, but Huizenrode now up into 3rd ahead of Powell. There is Tanvanitschkel still having to defend from Nacho Tunion, fired up after a pretty successful weekend back at Aragon in the F4 Spanish Championship. Here's another look back at the chicane. Ooh, bit of a moment there for one of the... Is that one of the MP Motorsport cars? No, it's not, is it? Running a little bit wide there. As, side by side between teammates now, down in towards turn 1, and that is Powell round the outside of Huizenrode, gets that position back, but look behind them, Stuka wants a piece of this as well. Stuka comes steaming out of Tamburello, defensive move over to the left by Huizenrode, bit of a late move, but manages to still keep it on the road. Now Huizenrode trying to defend through Villeneuve and into Tosa. Look at that, Stuka, just a little fake to the inside there, just to show a bit of intent. And now as they head up towards Piratella, it's going to be, well, actually I was going to say he's going to be right with him, but he didn't get a good exit there.
No, he didn't. Tanvanitschkel under a lot of pressure as well over his shoulder. That's Tunion in the Technica, just trying to find a way past, but he's sort of sandwiched. He's looking forwards to attack backwards to defend. He's got Strauven over his shoulder in the Griffincore. He's sandwiched by the 2 teammates. Griffincore bred with some good old Technica filling side by side as well. A couple of cars in towards Aqua Minerale around the outside. A beautiful attempt, but ultimately to his demise, locking up both fronts there and off into the gravel trap, able to keep it rolling as they rise up the hill, but back to the back of that, back to the back of that respective train as the battle continues now. What will be the final lap next time by, sideways as they exit there. That's Bert Harrison still trying to come back through the field, currently running P15. Last lap of the race though, Dalagnol just needs to hang on. He's got 1.3 seconds in his pocket.
Yeah, and that's good range as well to be out of slipstream range as well. It was Rafael Perard going through the gravel. He's had a bit of a busy race as Paul Rafael, but manages to at least rejoin. But yeah, Dalagnol has opened up a solid gap now over Eichmanns, and Eichmanns won't get any slipstream from there. Here's the move for 4th place. Stuka on Huizenrode, goes to the right, then goes to the left, tries to just put Huizenrode off. Nope, just to fill those mirrors, put a bit of pressure on. Now gets a really good run down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Ideally, you want to be on the outside here on the way in, because if you can carry the speed around the outside, you can then get it done on the brakes to the inside, and the car needs to give you the room. But no, nothing happening on this occasion for Kasper Stuka. Looks like they very quickly lost Powell as well, the rookie getting away from these 2 non-rookies. And it's interesting to see that we've got a full rookie podium and overall podium as well, Zach. Great stuff.
Yeah, exactly that. Looking really good for Alex Powell. It's his 2nd podium of the season. For Dalagnol, it's his 3rd and his 1st win. And for Ian Eichmanns, it's also his 2nd podium of the season. His best result as well to go with it. Dalagnol, just with half a lap left to go, just needs to negotiate it. This battle, though, between Huizenrode and Stuka, absolutely incredible. I think Stuka just maybe running out of time and opportunity in this race. A couple of corners left to go. And Eichmanns, to be fair to him, has driven onto the back of Dalagnol, closed the gap by a good few tenths. It's not going to be enough, though. And, well, the Brazilian from Cologne Motorsport will come across and take the victory of race number 1 here at Imola.
Yeah, fantastic drive that. It was looking like second place was going to be on the menu, but with a retirement from his teammate, it's going to be Heitor Dall'Agnol, the Brazilian, to take his first race victory of the season in EuroCup-3 here at Imola, and he will be over the moon with that one. Eichmanns is going to finish second. A great final couple of laps from Eichmanns to close the gap down. Powell gets third. Huizenrode holds off Stuka for fifth position. A great fight there. Then it's Tom van Ichkel, Tunion, Strauven, Lammers and Panetta completing the points. And off the road there is once again Harrison. Very, very busy race for Harrison there. I tell you what, he's going to be glad to just have a sit down after this, isn't he, Zach?
Yeah, exactly that. A breathe and a refresh, I think, is what he needs. He just needs to, I think, ultimately a lot of times in racing, and you start getting a bit desperate, you start letting things, run a bit high, and sometimes you do just need that quick little reset. He'll be back. He knows what he needs to do. He's won races before, and he'll be back stronger, I'm sure, for race number 2 later on this afternoon. But for Dall'Agnol, I mean, celebrating his first win in good fashion there, carrying the Brazilian flag, and I mean, what a fantastic drive from him. And ultimately, fair enough, maybe a little bit lucky, I guess, in the form of Vigosi's DNF. But he was there, he delivered, he didn't crack under the pressure, he nailed the restart when it mattered, and he came across the line a second clear, of course, of Ian Eichmanns in the end. And I mean, especially at a circuit like Imola, for the Brazilian driver of Dall'Agnol, it's going to mean a lot to bring that one home.
Yeah, I was just thinking that there, and luckily the cameraman and the producer both picked up on the same idea. And wow, what a brilliant moment that is. I just wonder where the heck's he had that flag from, because he didn't stop to pick it up off anybody, did he? He must have just had that in his pocket the whole time.
Must have known,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, that's one way of making sure you're over the minimum weight, isn't it? Carry a few flags in your pockets, just see which one comes out. But no, either way, a great drive that by Dall'Agnol. Did everything he needed to do when he was behind his teammate as well, James Vigosi. But at the end of the day, you've got to be in it to win it. His car made it to the end, James's didn't. And Dall'Agnol, I'm sure, will be very, very pleased with that first race victory here in EuroCup-3. And as Zach pointed out, he's gone from third to second and now to first, so he's going to be in the safety car for the next race or something, surely.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't complain in the beautiful Dallara, as yes. I'm sure you'd be quite jealous of. One driver I did want to just point out, by the way, Renaud Lammers came across the line in that race, P9 from the back of the grid, and not bad going in the slightest. No. I think probably in contention for our hard chargers. I'll have to confirm. On my spreadsheet, I can see positions change relative to qualifying results. When I input them, I'll let you know for race number 2 where he sits in that respective category. Coming into this race, he was up 19 net positions from the start of the season, obviously by virtue maybe of a couple of poor qualifyings, and ultimately, if you start at the back, you've got more positions to gain. But he's made the difference, and he's got 2 podiums and now 3 top 10s. He's just banking the points, and ultimately that consistent run and that racecraft is going to be invaluable to him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you consider that he came from the back of the grid, if he'd gone and finished in 11th place, then his point score would have been the same even if he'd have stayed right at the back. You know, it wouldn't have amounted to anything championship-wise. But to at least come through and get those 2 championship points for that 9th spot, we've seen 2 championship points completely flip a title come the end of the season, so they all add up and they all make a big difference. And again, I must compliment the sort of more cutthroat point scoring system in these championships, where despite having massive grids of 30 plus cars, only the top 10 score points. There you are then. Heitor Dall'Agnol takes the race victory. 1.1 seconds from Eichmanns in the end. Then Powell finishing in 3rd place ahead of Huizenrode and Stuka. They had a brilliant battle. Great fun to watch that was. Tom van Ichkel finishes in 6th place ahead of Nacho Tunion, 4th in the rookies. And then we have Strauven next up in 8th place ahead of Lammers coming from the back of the grid. Great drive. And then Panetta completing the top 10 in the high-tech machine. Then it was Pradel and Fiorentino ahead of Bostaniev. And Kota finished in 14th place ahead of Campos and Harfield, 2 RR teammates, 15th and 16th. Bianca Bustamante finishing in 17th place ahead of Borgna, Barbui and Feldman, who had a busy race finishing in 20th. And it was Kolovos, Beckley and Harrison, probably the busiest race of all of them actually, Harrison in 23rd. And then the drivers that didn't make it to the end were Perard, Egozi, Caretti, Alazari, Trapper, Stephen Haydens and Fagali. So a few retirements there to say the least, Zach. Quite an attritional race, but an absolute corker. A really, really exciting way to get the racing underway this weekend.
Yeah, it was. It all started, of course, from the initial get-go, and straight left-hand down off the start from Dall'Agnol to cut off the nose of Keanu Alazari. And, well, from the get-go, we would see quite a lot of carnage, to say the least. The opening corner there was upset as, of course, Fegali would be sent spearing off into the gravel trap, and that would be the opening safety car of what would be 2 total across our 30 minutes plus the lap, and a heartbreaking start to the race for Fegali. Tarvanichkul, we could see all the way throughout the race, would be very, very good indeed. The two teammates would be going side by side through the likes of Tosa as well. We saw some barnstorming moves over the course of that race, and Bert Harrison, this was the contact that we saw about halfway through the race, and well, ultimately a mistake that he's going to have to hold his hands up to.
Yeah, definitely. Trapper will certainly argue that one, I'm sure. But yeah, Harrison started off what was a very busy race with that incident. Scary, scary rejoin. Luckily, everyone behind really on it to avoid him there and avoid further contact. But then, of course, we had the safety car out for the second time. A lot of anticipation for the next restart, where there was even more contact, and Al-Azhari shoveled off the road by the number 12 machine. And then back on, Pradel absolutely thrown off into the gravel. Luckily managed to face the right way, but Al-Azhari would ultimately pick up a puncture on the front left, and that would put him out of the race in the delightful pink machine. And then we got things back underway at full pelt once more. The battle's begun, though, as Huizenrode and Stuka got battling away, and so too did Powell and Tarvanichkul. There were some great fights within the top 5 and top 10, weren't there, actually, in that one, Zach?
Yeah, there really was. This was Bert Harrison down the inside of the number 3 of Bologna, who is definitely going to be feeling a bit hard done by with that one. The Variante Alta, very difficult uphill, right-left chicane, some big curbs on the inside as well. Even more drama would ensue throughout the rest of the pack. I mean, just incredible. And I think this was the turning point in the race, actually. James Agosi's DNF trying desperately to get it back going again, but ultimately his finishing streak, his podium streak coming to a close. He'd crawl his way back in with the indicators and stuck on there like you're trying to merge on the M25 back into the pit lane for James Agosi, and a heartbreaking end to his race. We've got back underway, and immediately it was all guns blazing, all swinging there in the battle for sort of 5th, 6th and 7th. Meanwhile, Delagno would try and break away from the final restart.
Yeah, it was Stuka, Tarvanichkul and Huizenrode and Tunion that were putting on a fantastic show for us all. The two Griffin Corps teammates doing everything they could to try and stick together. Eventually, Powell getting through in the number 41 machine would go on to a podium result. And at the very front, it was Dalagnol, the Brazilian, taking the win from Eichmanns, who mounted a charge in the final couple of laps but couldn't quite get there. And a very exciting race to start our weekend here at Imola in EUROCUP-3. And it certainly had a little bit of everything, that one, Zach. I'm really excited to see, obviously, what the sprint race has in store for us this afternoon. Less points on offer there, but that is how the championship looks. Barely any different from Agosi's point of view.
No, not at all. 111 points and, well, still comfortably clear of Delagnol. The crucial bit there is that Ian Eichmanns and Al-Azhari both dropped down a couple of places by virtue of Delagnol's charge there in that race. P2 to P1 and Palau Motorsport, they're going to be very happy, in fact, with P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship. It means they're doing pretty well in the Teams' Championship as well. Of course, for the rest of the drivers, they've got it all to prove. They've got it all to fight back for when we head to race 2 a little bit later on, the sprint race later on this afternoon, because, well, they're going to want to be able to fire back and prove themselves and, well, get themselves back into the fight. Agosi, one of them as well. He'd be interested to extend his lead at the top of the championship and actually put some points on the board here at Imola.
Yeah, one of the confusing things that we're going to have to continue to explain here this weekend is that we have race 1 and race 2, but race 2 is actually the third race of the weekend. The sprint race is the middle one. But either way, a very, very exciting first race of the day here from Imola in EUROCUP-3. We look forward to seeing you later this afternoon for the sprint race, which will be right around the corner. And I tell you, we're going to have some more amazing action from this great Italian circuit in, well, not long at all. I'm sure the gap will close down very, very quickly, and we will be back on your screens before you know it. We have a podium to keep an eye on. Lovely new podium here at Imola, actually. I don't recall seeing that one since I was last there. It's absolutely stunning. I think the last one was in the paddock or at the back somewhere, but that looks absolutely incredible. So does the weather, Zach. It's still absolutely baking down there. Luckily for us in the UK, it's not as hot as it was last time we commentated together.
No, yeah, because it was awful. Not only because I was sharing a commentary box with you, Chaz, but because the heat was unbelievable. No, don't worry. We're going to take some jabs at each other over the season. Don't worry. But down at Imola, it's definitely roasting. It's definitely beaming down. You can see the tyres there. And to be fair, after 30 minutes plus a lap of some hard racing, they could look in worse condition, to be honest. Yeah. Ultimately, they've picked up some marbles, and that's going to happen. But yeah, they look all right.
Yeah, they look pretty decent, don't they, actually? They're not as blistered as you'd expect to see. A lot of smiles there on the face of Daniel. He's absolutely delighted with that. And, well, we've seen him raising up from third place to second place and now to first. It only seems natural that he goes on to take the race victory and, of course, puts himself now second in the Drivers' Championship. He is now the closest competitor to James Agosi. And I'm sure we will potentially... I'm sure, potentially. Yes, it looks like Alex is on standby to have a chat with him in just a moment. We'll wait and see. He's obviously got a lot of people to speak to, as Daniel. He's got a lot of people to discuss with and share the moment with. Alex, looks like it's a pretty good vibe down there. He seems like he's a very happy boy. Let's hear from him.
So guys, we're talking here to Heitor Daniel. First victory in EUROCUP-3, which is anything but Euro, to be honest. I know that you'll be feeling for your teammate. Let's pick it up and we continue walking. You'll be feeling for your teammate, but what does it mean for a Brazilian driver to win here at Imola? I saw the flag, of course. You had it well hidden.
I mean, it was crazy. Winning Imola for us is a thing that if I had to select a track to win, would be in Imola for sure. I think with all the history that have with the Brazilians, I'm so happy. The team did a great job. Happened the thing with James. I think for sure we don't like to win this way, but for me today it matters a lot. My first win. I'm very happy and very proud about my team. We did a crazy job. I want to thank my sponsors as well, which support me to be here. And yeah, I think now I hope it's the first of a lot. And I think we have conditions to keep pushing in the championship. So I'm very, very happy to win in Imola, which matters a lot for me.
And on top of that, you've been very competitive, the whole team this weekend in qualifying now in race 1. 2 more races to go. Of course, the European Le Mans Series weekends. There's plenty of points to be gained. So what to expect later today and tomorrow?
I mean, now we have a sprint race, which is reverse grid. So we start P11. We have a good way up to try to finish in a good point position. I think now is to work what we have, with what we have, give our best and try to get out with more points. Tomorrow we start P4, which is a good position as well. So I think now is maximize the points that I can do it. Because we have the pace, we are very strong here. I'm very happy.
Heitor, congratulations. Enjoy it as much as you want.
Thank you so much. Obrigado, mãe. Obrigado, pai. Amo muito vocês.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
As you can see, a very, very happy race winner here in Imola. Very important win for him as well. And you know, guys, I think we can, if you want, we could just turn our heads towards our right side or towards my right side, because we have some more protagonists here. As you know, the European Le Mans Series weekends, they always give us the chance to talk to you guys as well as we walk to the podium, and not just to the race winners, because come on, you also have a story to tell. Yannick, put back on the podium, best result of the season. How was that? Not too bad?
Yeah, not too bad. Really happy because we make already a big step compared to yesterday. The Palou guys are really fast at the moment, also high tech. We're missing something, but yeah, we're working towards it, and we'll definitely get on the top step soon because we're arriving.
This is something that we often talk in the broadcasts, but EuroCup-3 is the type of series that allows, if you're doing a good job, as a rookie to do a good result. More so this year with a new car. What is it like for a driver from straight from second years?
Definitely to race against guys with a lot of because it's only my second year in single seaters. So yeah, in racecraft, a bit experience.
Sorry, we obviously have just gone slightly out of range there by the sound of it.
If you see how close everything is.
So we'll
every weekend
push on
there's
and see
someone
if
else.
we can still hear from Alex and Eichmann's. But yeah, it seems like they've just gone out of range, I'm afraid. It's a shame that, Zach, because I mean, it's good to hear from multiple drivers all at once, and fair play to Alex for keeping things running. Oh, we're going to continue with it, I believe. Sorry.
I think we can have some more connection. I think our range is coming and going, but we're getting closer to the podium. And as we get close to the podium, we have another guy who so much deserves to get very close to the podium, so much so that you'll be standing on it. Alex, finally back there. You deserve to be there a long time before, but so many things happened this season.
Yeah. I mean, it was a It was a tricky race. Tricky weekend so far. To be honest, yesterday we were in a bad place, but we worked really hard, and I can just say big thanks to the team. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just me driving for myself today. It was driving for the whole team and for everyone that supports me. So super happy to be back.
What to expect from the rest of the weekend?
I don't know. We're in a bit compromised starting position, so it will be a bit difficult. But I mean, of course, the main objective is to do exactly what we did in that race. Things worked out for us there. So yeah, I mean, it's just to improve, get a bit better. We still have a little bit to go. And yeah, try and score some more points. But again, a big thank you to the team because last night this was not really looking possible. So yeah, big thanks.
Alex, enjoy the podium and good luck for the next ones.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff. So the guys will now head up to the podiums, and it's great to hear from all of the drivers there, Zach. And I mean, Alex doing a fantastic job to keep pushing on that one. Fair play to him. He's absolutely great, isn't he?
Yeah, we were just having a little chin wag before. He's so good, Alex, mate. You're
good.
Incredible. Let's put it that way. Yeah, such good to have the insight. Obviously, Alex knows what he's talking about, and the drivers more so know what they're talking about. And it's good to see. You know, we've got a good view from, I guess, the Raven's Nest of the commentary box, but in the cockpit is really where the emotions run high, is really where the drivers know what's going on. They know what they're managing, they know what their targets are, they know sort of what the situation with the race is, how the car is handling, their setup coming into the weekend, and ultimately, again, you know, that's the answers that we want to have. We can make our assumptions in the commentary box, but I do love hearing from the drivers and just getting to know the actual ins and outs of the weekend. And yeah, big congratulations to the respective podium. All three of them rookies, like we pointed out, so they'll have a fairly easy affair of, I guess, handing out both trophies on just one occasion, or they'll just have to, well, deja vu the podium and do it twice. We'll have to wait and see. Delagnol, Eichmanns and Pau. Delagnol, 3 podiums, and for the rest of them it's their second of the season, with Ian Eichmanns his best result so far as well for the Belgian. He's clawed his way up into P3 in the championship as well, and well, a very successful career in karting has definitely transcended itself into a very successful career thus far in single-seaters.
And anybody that would have just been able to see me would have seen my face light up there as onto the podium walked Boris Casadillo, who is the international commentator for Imola and for Misano. Wonderful Italian presenter. He's absolutely brilliant. The amount of times I've been to Misano and seen him there commentating, he is a joy. Everybody loves Boris, and he is here this weekend doing the announcing for Imola as well. He just walked out onto the podium in his traditional big cowboy hat, and he's absolutely fantastic. I just really lit up to see him there. I love that bloke. He's great. You can see him just over to the left-hand side there. He is full of energy, as you'd expect. As now, drivers make their way out onto the podium. Actually, a team member there from Palu Motorsport making their way out. Now we will get our top 3 drivers from that race. I'll let Boris do the announcing, shall I? Alex Powell onto the podium. At least we can hear the podium this time, Zach, because sometimes we're so far away from the podium we can't hear them. But at least we've got the audio this time. Second place, Eichmanns for MP Motorsport. Very bright boots on Eichmanns. It's a shame you can't see them to put them off when he's in the car. But our race winner for the first time this season, Heitor Delagnol, takes the race win. He brings up with him the Brazilian flag as well. Great to see that. He was so happy, wasn't he, Zach?
Yeah, he was. Unbelievable.
go, the Brazilian national anthem for Heitor Dallagnol. It's an absolute vibe, that anthem, isn't it, Zach? That's brilliant. I think that's up there with some of the best ones to hear on a podium.
Whack that into a British nightclub, and that is going hard, I tell you that. But yeah, huge congratulations to Heitor Dallagnol, his first win of this season, and I'm sure he'll be looking to fight back from P11, like he said on the grid later on today. P4 for tomorrow's feature race for race number 2 of the weekend as well. And yeah, he's just on a really incredible run of form, and if Egozi still suffers a little bit of misfortune, maybe he could still be a championship contender. Ultimately, I still think Egozi is the favourite, and that gap is going to be monumental to close. But the fight in the championship is still far from over, and we've got plenty of drivers on top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 2 races left this weekend, a lot more opportunities for the drivers to prove themselves. Well, there's some good sounding cars going past as well. Seems a little bit sort of... He's holding the emotions back a little bit there, is Eichmanns. I don't think he's as happy as could be with that. He's certainly had a good performance, but yeah, I think he's hoping that this afternoon goes that one step better, doesn't he, for a potential race victory.
Yeah, he was close, right? He was just within a second, I think, as they crossed the line, or just over 1.1. He got the gap down from 1.5 all the way down to just under a second on that final lap, and ultimately just ran out of time, right? The safety car restart that we had at the end gave them, what, 2 or 3 laps to fight to the end, so he's obviously going to want to fight back on that. He's going to maybe feel that second, you know, he's got more to give. Let's put it that way, as Ian Eichmanns. His second podium of the season, though, he's gone 3rd to 2nd, and now maybe let's go for the sprint race later on, and well, see if he can take that first victory of the season.
Well, the champagne is spraying here at Imola after the first race of the day here in Eurocup 3. We'll see you later on this afternoon for the sprint race to complete our day's racing. We'll catch you a bit later on.